Hi, Mark here. Trust you're well. This is a recording of one of my live Lightroom short events that I host most weeks. The recording was on Wednesday, the 4th of December 2024, and we looked at the remove tool. Now, I hope you enjoy this recording. If you'd like to attend live, just visit lightroommark.com or perhaps join me on Eventbrite or subscribe here on YouTube, and you'll be notified when my next events are. If you've got a question, just leave it in the comments, and I look forward to meeting you one day on one of my live events. Now, without any further ado, let's jump across to the recording on the remove tool. Bye for now.
Just wanted to give you some good feedback. These lessons I am really moving much more faster in Lightroom and getting things accomplished much quicker and much more to my satisfaction. So
It's
I
great to
really,
hear. Thank you for that.
yeah, I really find these extremely useful. Uh,
Well, my main motive is they're live. Um, you know, I was looking at something I just wanted clarification on today on YouTube, and the whole interface has changed. And oh, hang on, that's 3 years out of date. And the technology changes so quickly, and that's the main, from a business point of view, unique selling point is it's live today. It's today's interface, it's today's technology, it's today's knowledge, not knowledge of 3 years ago. So from an educator's point of view, that's one of the USPs. But also, we have this conversation. It's live. We talk about, I've got a problem with this, or how can I do that, or this is a different way. And I learn from the participants. So it's, there's not one way, as you know, Jay. I keep saying there's not one way of doing
right,
something.
right.
Your workflow, my workflow, from a cultural point of view, from a generation point of view, it's all different. So we all learn from each other, and that's the whole point of the Monday night sessions. So.
Yeah.
Right. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see some new faces and returning ones. Tonight we're going to spend half an hour looking at the remove tool in Classic and Lightroom. The tool is actually the same. It's just the user interface that changes. So I will spend most of the time in Classic, and then towards the end, we'll just jump across to Lightroom, and I'll just show you the same things on the same images. So without further ado, and if you've got a question, just shout across, and you want me to show you something again, we can do that. That's no problem. So the first thing I'm going to show you is sensor dust, because we all have sensor dust or lens dust, and there we go, loads of little dots, and there'll actually be more of them in a slower shutter speed. So if you're doing a long exposure and you have a filter on the end, these spots will become more prolific. So we look at the image to start with. So there's an image. It's an intentional camera movement of some reeds at a wildlife sanctuary, and I want to remove those spots. So how do I change it first to that black and white? Well, it used to be down in the toolbar down the bottom, and you press T for toolbar, but now it's moved up in, this is version 13.1, I think it is. 13.3, I think it is now, actually. We've got visualize spots, and we can turn this on, and it takes the image into black and white. We can change this slider to the right of visualize spots, and it makes it more contrasty. So we can see the spots even more. As you see now, I've taken it all the way. We've got lots and lots and lots and lots of spots. Now, my workflow is I usually go to around about 200%, and I hit page up. And if you look into the navigation bar, I've got a small box in the top corner. Now we can change the size of our selection area, and we don't need it that big. Normally around about 10 for me, I have found is about the right size. So I can type it in the box if I wish, 10. And all we have to do is draw. And we draw again, and the dots, the dust spots will remove. There's no feather. It just works it out, and it will just go through and it'll remove them. Now, the reason why I do the box and 200%, or sometimes let's go to 100%, is if I press cursor down, I do not move or lose any space in the image. It cycles through. I'm just using, I have a full-size keyboard here, but I am just the box in the navigation box at the top left-hand corner. The box that I'm the selection area is just skipping down one cycle. So I never move and lose anything. Now I could press spacebar and move the image around. So I could, there's lots of things I could do, but I would move or miss parts of the image. Okay. So turn the visualize spots off. And we'll go to fit screen. Okay, so what I normally do is just jump down through the image. If I show you here, you can see I just jump down through the image. And if I zoom in smaller, it'll be smaller boxes and it'll just go through. And I'll do it in black and white. So by hitting the visual spot. Okay. And then I'll do it in color. The reason why I do it in color is that I may miss something that I physically want to remove. You know, it could be a can of Coke or you know, any other soft drink. So that's what I do when I want to get rid of my sensor spots or little dots on the lens or something like that. That's the first tool. Let's go back to G for grid. But I might want to remove something. This is a stock image that I have a license to use. I might want to remove something. And there's lots of ways that we can do this. And we can use the remove tool, and we can just draw around the subject and allow it to analyze and take it out itself. We have an opacity slider, right? And this is Lightroom doing it itself. Okay, and we have the remove tool, we have the clone tool, we have the heal tool, but we also have generated remove. So it's going to generate, it's going to look, the artificial intelligence is going to look, and it's going to perhaps try and give me something that perhaps it thinks that I want to remove. And I can skip through to 3 different versions. But that's not really working in this instance. I could, because every instance is different, I could hit the generate again. And it's going to use some AI to have a look through again. No, nearly. So let's try a different tool. We're going to use the remove tool in this case. Let's just recycle, regenerate. No, still not doing anything. Still not removing the tool. So that's a lot of actions we've gone through there. So let's go back into the history. We're just going to clear the history. Wait for it to come back. And what we're going to do, reset, is we're going to use AI, but we're going to use object select with arrays. So now I'm going to paint on and give it a little bit of space around it and see what it does. Now it's created a mask, and I can subtract to the mask or I can add to the mask. So if I've gone over something, let's say I'm just going to subtract slightly, I'm just going to put the minus in. You see in the circle, there's a little minus, that's subtract. So I could just subtract a bit of the mask, or I could go to add, and now I've got a plus in there. So it's now adding to the mask. And I could say remove. So now it's going to use the AI and the object selection, and it's done a pretty good job. Let's see what variations we've got. So let's go through. There's a variation 2, variation 3. And I could, if I wanted to, regenerate. So I could ask it to do it again. Let's see what happens. And again, I could go through the 3. And we've now taken the plane out. Now, when you use the generation, generate AI, you actually, depending on your service plan, you get a number of attempts. I'm a Creative Cloud client, I get 1,000. I think on the photography plan, it's 250. So you can hit this regenerate button 250 times a month before they start saying, we want some more money off you. So do use that sparingly. And I'll only use that on difficult selections. Okay, so that's our remove tool. Let's go on to another image. So we have an image of me here. I'm going on D, and I'm going to use the Shift key, and I'm going to scrub in, and I've got a little dent on my head here. And what I could do is use the remove tool, yes, but I could also use the heal tool. And the heal is going to take parts of my skin and analyze it and try and heal, just like your skin would heal. And literally, it does it yourself. You can't select the area, it does it itself. So I'm going to hold the space bar down. I've got a little blemish here. Let's make this a bit smaller. And I'm just going to go here. And it's going to look at the surrounding pixels and generate heal, like my skin would normally heal. And let's take this line out. So I'm just going to drop that. Okay. And it's going to try. It's like in Photoshop, content aware fill. Okay. Doesn't, yeah. Let's take this line out here. Okay. No, it doesn't blend in quite right there. So Command Z undo. Now with straight lines, you can hold your Shift key down and it draws in a straight line. Okay. Looks a bit better. Okay. So I didn't know if you can short keyboard shortcut. So if we go back to G, let's have a look at this image here. Okay, we've got this. Do we want this reflection on the sand? Again, it's a matter of an opinion. Is this part of the reflection of this lady? Okay, is it of this lady? Because if we look at the lady with the shadow on the legs here, the sun is over on this right-hand side. So has this been digitally put in, this shadow here, because we've got shadows that are coming here? So we might want to remove those. So let's come to the remove tool. Let's go to clone. And what clone will do will allow us to choose part of the area that we want it to replicate. So we're going to choose close and we're going to turn on our overlay. What is our overlay? Our overlay is what we are selecting. So this is the area that we've chosen. And this is the area that Classic has chosen. And we can now move this. And if I hold my key there, I should be able to drag. There we go. I can drag where it's on. And I can move this round until, no, it's not quite big enough mask. So let's delete it. Let's do me a bigger mask. And I've got a feather as well. Okay. Let's look at my opacity. So there's my feather and my opacity. And it's changing it. So I can find the right area that I want it to reduce. and I can ask it to refresh. Okay, and it will choose another area. Okay, so the difference between heal and clone, heal, it will generate its own. So it will look at the subject and try and take from another area and paste it over the top. Okay, let's change the feather. Okay, and clone will copy. So let's go to the erase tool. Let's go to generative AI and detect object. Bring the brush down. Get it smaller again. There we go. And now I'm going to draw on that. And it's going to analyze it. It's going to give me the mask. Now I'm going to add to that mask by pressing the add button on the panel. And I've now just selected that. I'm going to add again. So now I've selected 3 areas and I'm going to ask it to remove it. The AI is going to kick in. And the reason why you add to the mask is that's one calculation. If I did this 3 times and press the remove button 3 times, that would be 3 calculations. That's 3 numbers off your AI collection. Okay, so at the moment you can see we've got these little marks, and these are the overlay marks. Those, it's telling me something is there. And there we go, tool overlay. So I can have auto, always, selected, or never. Now I usually have never, because when I'm working in a small area, it's very easy to select a overlay, a tool overlay. So it's normally never. So sometimes I'll have selected what I'm working on, but it's usually never. So there's not one tool to fit everything. Okay, so let's go to the last image. There we go. And perhaps I wanted to remove, let's say, this branch here. The remove tool. Going to use the shift key and it draws a straight line. I'm going to add to it. And I'm now going to go off at an angle. So I draw a straight line to start with, and I'm going to allow it to look at the contrast, look at everything. I'm going to remove. It's now going to look at everything for me and remove. Now, it's only remove the wood. So let's now make a bigger selection. Okay. Right. So now let it generate, remove. And again, each of these removes are taking off my value. And there we go. It's now removed. Okay. And that is the remove tool today. Very, very easy to use. There's one extra thing I wanted to show you. Okay. If we go back to this image onto the visual spots, if you've got a lot of visual spots, let's just say here you've done, and here you've done, and here you've done, here you've done. So I do all of these. Okay, you can remove them all with the AI tool. But that takes, if you've got loads and loads of dots, that will take the value of your generative, your AI usage. So by doing it manually, you don't use that usage. And they're usually quick. But if you want to delete them, so you can go to always show my, you can see my little spots where I've worked on. If you hold the optional, the Alt key down, I can draw a box. And where I've worked, it's now removed them. It's deleting the spots that I've removed, or the work that the clone tool, the heal tool. I can see there's more up here. There's 3 up here. I hold the option, the Alt key, comes up with the scissors, and I can select, I'm drawing a selection, and it will remove that work. Okay. And there we go, remove tool. But would you rather go out with a clean sensor and a lens cleaning cloth and clean the end of your lens so you didn't have to do that? But sometimes I get lazy and I forget to clean my sensor. So good old remove tool. Really, really good. Okay.
Yeah, also, if you've been scanning a slide or a
Yep.
negative, you're going to pick up those dots.
Yes, dust on a slide or a negative. So
Right.
how
And
I, sorry, Joe.
I'm just saying that that's hard to prevent ahead of time. It's
Mhm.
part of the process that's going to get dots in there.
Yeah. So I've got a big archive of negatives and slides, and I have an LED light board. And what I bought a copy stand, and I have a camera that is literally 90 degrees with a macro lens on it, which then shoots 1:1 aspect ratio. I then shoot from underneath and I take a photograph of the slide. Now, the reasons why I do that is if you use a scanner, most scanners are up to 9,600 dots per inch, and they give you a TIFF file or a JPEG file. Not all scanners, but most, unless you spend serious amount of money on a drum scanner or something like that. Using your camera, you can shoot in RAW, and you're shooting at 55, 60, 30, whatever megapixels your camera is. The other thing is that a tip that I give out is go into your local beauty shop, or in the UK, Superdrugs, or something, or they'll do them in Walmart or whatever, and get a blusher brush. Um, might have one in my cleaning box. Bear with me. Yes. So it's a blusher brush for ladies do use their cheeks. Okay. It's really, really soft. And it's nice just to gently stroke your negative to get the dust off. So you use your air blower to blow off, but sometimes you might need to gently, and these are really soft. If you get one that does this, this is all nice and safe, doesn't get dirty, and I always keep it in that. They're not expensive, about £8, $10, something like that. But yeah, I've always got a couple of those, and they're great for if you have a. I have a spare one, um, so I don't mix them up. It gets in the corners in your eyepiece in your camera, so when you want to clean your camera, it gets in there, gets all the. It's just got a little bit of substance to the cleaning of it. So I then take the photograph. So I will get dust spots from the negative into the digital negative, and this is where I use it, which is what Jay was referring to. So, has anybody any questions about the remove tool? No?
Well, I find the clone tool, I can never know where it's taking the reference from.
Okay.
I trip over my feet or hands on the clone tool, but it looks like generative removal and manual remover, I can avoid the clone tool, but
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let me just go back over that for you, Jay. So let's go and take this image here. And so I'm going to use the remove tool to take the visual spots off. And I'm going to use the clone tool, which is the clone stamp tool. And I'm just going to
Unknown caller.
just draw in this section here. And you'll see it brings up another area. And I can move by clicking on the other area. It's got a line and an arrow. And you can see where it's coming from. And you can see it's part of it is coming through because this area is lighter than the darker area that it's on. So if I move that here, you can see the branch is starting to come through here. So the clone tool is really for subjects that you want to like fade in areas. So that could be leaves and bark of tree or skin tones and that type of thing. If you want to remove this, there's better tools. Um, and if it's just something simple like this, and you just want to remove that, I would use the generative AI, the object select, refresh, and allow it. And you can see it's intelligent enough. It's something in the background. It's allowed it to go through in the background. Okay. So regenerate, and it will give me different options. Okay. So, and if you haven't selected the generative AI and the object selection, these have to be ticked on first before you draw your mask. Okay, so there's my mask. There we go. Remove. And now it should remove all of it. Well, it's only removed half of it. Let's have a look at the next one. See, it's removed a bit more. And it's removed nothing in the third one. So it's not fallible or infallible. Okay, Jay? You get your cloud bubble, if you want to say, what you've drawn on, and you get another one somewhere that Lightroom has selected. You're on mute, Jay. You were saying something, Jay? Oh, you're on the phone. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I'll show you in Lightroom now very quickly. The same images. It's exactly the same. So this is a collection. Can I update it because it's coming in from Classic and it's scanning away. And it's updated it from Classic. So because these are in the cloud, so I'll go to the remove tool, exactly the same panels. Okay, it may look slightly different, but there's generative AI, object selection, and I can literally just drawing, and it'll do. And this is exactly the same on your phone, same as on a tablet, on a web browser. There we go. It's made the selection. Do I want to add or subtract? I'm going to add a subtract a little bit because there's a bit of foot there. Let's take that away. I'm going to go remove. It's now going to work it out. And there we go. It's cut the top of the branch off. Let's go to this image. Let's do visible dust spots. So remove visible spots. There's the spots. Let's zoom in. And literally, now I've turned on the AI. So now it's going to start using the AI selection, which I don't want. So I'm going to turn that off. Let's zoom in a bit further to 200%. Press my spacebar down so I can move the image around. Do that in Classic as well. And let's make the threshold. There we go, there's another one, another one. Now, the beauty of Lightroom is a little bit faster because it's a single image application. There's no catalog. All these are being written into the header or the XMP file that accompanies this image. So it runs a bit faster. Okay. So they're both identical. And there we go. You can sync in the cloud. So you could take a load of photographs, you can sync them in the cloud. You could sit on your train to work or however you get your lunch break or whatever. You can sit there with your iPad and your Apple Pencil, and you could do all this, allow it to sync back to the cloud, and it will come back to Classic for you. So you're working in your environment, wherever you want to work. Okay. And that's what I've just replicated, that workflow. So I've just replicated that. Because if I now go back to Classic, they'll have all synced and they'll appear in Classic. Okay. So that's nearly finished syncing. So I'll go back to Classic. And it'll update this part of the image. G. There we go, it's now syncing. Syncing that one photo because I've come off that photograph. That will sync, and that part of the branch will change. Has anyone any questions?
So just going back to the visualized spots, I
Hmm.
think we've touched on this on our Monday night sessions before. So if you've taken lots of similar images,
Hmm.
um, and you've done those dust removals on that one
Hmm.
image, you can then sync those settings across all of them and it will remove all the dust
Yep.
spots from the other images, can't you?
Yep. So let's go back to this. It won't apply to this image because I've only got one in
Mm.
this collection. But let's say I had 50 of this image, 50 that I all took side by side, a minute later, 2 minutes later, of similar subjects. So what I could do is I'd go to the grid view, and this is my what we call active image. It's highlighted. I'd select the other images so they'd all look the same as this. Okay, so actually let's go deselect. Let's give you a visual representation. And let's go virtual copy, virtual copy, another virtual copy. Okay, so these are virtual copies. Okay, there's my original, there's my virtual copy. Now I've edited or taken the dust spots off this one. What I can now do is go sync. Oops, that's sync. And then it will come up with the blue spot tick with things that I've done to this image. And in this case, I've only used the remove tool. So because Classic and Lightroom are digital asset managers, what we can do is we can take what we've done from this image and paste it or apply it to the other images. So now we go synchronize, and the remove, because I only had the remove, what I had done on this one is now going to apply to this one, and then the next one, and then the next one. Okay, so if I had 50 images, I could do it to one image and then apply them to all of the rest of them. And that's under your syncing of your images. But yeah.
Would,
Thank
would,
you.
would that be the same process for adding a keyword
Yep.
where you do that same syncing, that time you
Yep.
do Command All,
Yep.
Command A, and then do the one image keyword, and it would then sync
Mm-hmm.
it to the others. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
you could apply that approach by using the sync command, yes. Or what you could do is just select the images and then tick in the keyword list the keywords that you want to apply. And because they are selected, it will apply the keywords to all of those images.
Okay, thank you.
So that there's more than one way of doing it. But yes, what you've said, yes, you could do that with IPTC data. So description, headline, keywords, artist data, you could sync all that. If you've got it on one
Right.
image, sync it to all of them. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I hope you found that of help. Um, on Monday in our Lightroom support group, we're going to be looking at masking, the fundamentals of masking. That's on Monday at 7 o'clock. And on a week today, which is the 11th, we're looking at keyword sets. So I hope you found tonight of interest, and hopefully I'll see you next week.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.